Hi there, everyone. This is Bob Martin, the RCSubGuy, and this is going to be a special traveling mobile edition of RCSubGuy live, coming to you December 6th, 2018. Yes, it's almost Christmas time. Man, where did the year go? Holy cow. And sometimes it feels like it's going so fast, and sometimes it feels like it's going so fast, and other times it feels like it was just a short time ago. It was Christmas again. So welcome to the live stream. As always, I encourage you to ask questions, make comments. I would love to answer them for you. That was the primary reason that I got this live stream going for you guys, was to answer questions. I don't want to preach to you. So by all means, preach to you. So by all means, reach out. We are currently in my new shop. If you were following my newsletter, and also my YouTube channel, you'll know that I invested in a shop away from the house. I kind of outgrew it. So why don't we kick things off with a little bit of a tour. I'm upstairs. This is a two-level shop. Let's take a look at things. Like I said, this is the loft upstairs. Let's see if I can swivel this around for you. So this is the majority of the inventory that I carry at the Nautilus dry docks. There's quite a bit of it, believe it or not. Of course, the primary reason, as all of you know, this is an exceptionally expensive hobby. Like, I think I've got over $5,000 just in cylinders lined up there, not to mention all of the kits and electronics, which tend to add up quickly. But we're upstairs. This is where my son and I do basically all of the order packing. You can see I got a couple of orders set out there for some small things with all the packing slips and the parts. We do all of our packaging up here, and then we bring them back and ship them out of the house. But just taking a look at some of the things here, as you guys know, I've got kind of a sale going on of the overstock stuff I'm trying to get rid of. I got some old radios out there. If you're interested in radio system for cheap, these are typically going between 40 and 60 bucks, you know, transmitter only. Of course, a lot of brand new radios in 75 and 72 megahertz, including a couple of beautiful 9-channel radios. If you're ever thinking seriously about getting into this hobby in earnest, the 9-channel radios is something that you probably won't outgrow. So it would be a worthwhile investment on that part. I've got a couple of scale ships hulls up here. I've got an Oscar 2 and an Akula 2 kit from Vladimir in Belarus. Beautiful kits. And when we get downstairs, I'm going to show you his brand new Lada kit, which I'm actually exceptionally impressed with. I think it's a really cool little model. All electronics. I got a bunch of brass props down there. More electronics, servos, components, couplers, OTW dive modules, used cylinders, new cylinders. I've got some Engel piston tanks if you guys are interested. A whole bunch of blueback and kilo models, and then a bunch of plastic model kits. Again, I've got these listed up on that sale site. If you guys, I don't know why it's so unfocused there. I apologize. There we go. But anyhow, if you're interested in some of these plastic model kits, some of which can be converted to RC, by all means, take a look in there. Or if you're looking for something, give me a shout. Bunch of more model kits, lots of the Revell kits, Type 7s, Gatos, Type 9s, and those beautiful ARC model Type 7s as well. So that's kind of the upstairs. Let's head downstairs, and we'll show you where eventually this is going to be the real business end of the business. So from here, you're kind of looking in the front door. This is going to be basically a production area. We've decided to make that investment. My son is going to help me, and we're going to basically set this up as a casting and molding area. So we'll be getting into production of model kits, model parts, and that sort of thing. So we've got extra room in here. We're starting to buy the components that we need. We've got pressure pots down there. We've got a brand new compressor over there. We'll have all of our resin, fiberglass, and everything stocked over here. Off to the side, you can see a bunch of the molds I told you guys about earlier. And these are primarily Nautilus and 20,000 Leagues Under the Sea related, which is a passion of mine. And these, for the most part, were obtained from a gentleman by the name of Scott Brodeen, who unfortunately for health reasons had to get out of the industry, which is really sad, but he passed them to me as sort of the torch bearer. Got the upcoming 48-inch Nautilus kit molds right there. Unfortunately, Dave Merriman is not going to be able to undertake the fiberglass hulls, and so that's going to be brought in-house here, as exciting as that sounds. Got a bunch of 11-foot Nautilus molds right there. So I do have, owned by myself personally, an 11-foot long Disney Nautilus hull. And, you know, some of you may have, oh, you know, I've seen that 10-foot U-boat. Well, you know, that 10-foot U-boat probably only has like a 10-inch beam. This big Nautilus is something more like 16 inches. It's huge. But these are all the molds for those parts. The 16-inch Nautilus, the 31-inch Nautilus right there. I got some plans to do some creative things with the upper hull of that kit to make it much lighter and more suitable for RC. So stay tuned for that. But that is basically the downstairs of the workshop of the Nautilus dry docks. I promised you a look at Vladimir's new kit. Now this is a Lada. It's a Russian submarine, and if I understand things correctly, and certainly some of you may be more knowledgeable than me, but this basically is a new style submarine that is going to replace the Kilo as an export sub. It is absolutely gorgeous, like all of his kits are. These cast pieces have some absolutely beautiful detail, very, very clean, very crisp in the details. You can see that is evidenced in all of these really gorgeous periscopes that come with the kit. Cast dive planes and control surfaces with the shafts embedded in there. And then the entire rear cone is all cast up as a single piece here as well. Absolutely beautiful. And you can actually tell, you know, the mark of a really good kit producer by the quality of that internal layup is just beautiful, perfectly clean. It would be a shame actually to cover that up with paint. I'm sure whoever gets this kit and builds it up, I definitely urge them to leave that exposed just because it is so beautiful. But the kit comes with a bunch of brass photo etch, full plans, and dry transfers. So if that's something that you're interested in, let me know. Oh, of course, brass prop, and this is a really unique one, a really rear swept propeller in there as well. If you're interested in that, let me know. I don't know that I've got that up listed for sale yet on my site, but I'm just taking a look at the comments there. No questions. You guys must know everything about the RC submarine hobby. That's pretty awesome, although it's going to make for a pretty boring conversation here if I can't relate anything. That is the shop here. I think the last thing I'll just show you real quick, and I put an ad out on my website so you can purchase it there, but that's a 48th scale De Boer skipjack. 63 inches long. It's got an 8-inch beam. It's all set up for sort of the old school dry hull inside. So those of you that like that style of model because of simplicity and the room to install electronics, that it might be something that you'd be interested in. I'm asking, I think, $450 for that, which is cheap for such a big sub because it goes for about 900 when it is new from DeBoer. Just saw a question about the Kilo. So I actually have a bunch. I got like 5 sets of hulls upstairs all ready to go. And Dave Merriman is, as we speak right now, working on molding and casting the appendages. So that is going to be coming out very soon. You know, if I had to guess, it's going to be probably January. We'll have that offering there. Typhoon. So as you guys know, I've had a lot of projects, you know, in the fire, so to speak. Lots of pokers in the fire. Sequest turned out to be a project that came into fruition, and that's out, and that's going to be re-released here probably by January 1st. The Lotus Esprit from James Bond, that's another project that was going. A Typhoon is another project that's going. That Verne Nautilus going as well. Of all of those projects, that Verne Nautilus is the one that's actually garnered the most attention and interest from people, and it's what I'm focusing on right now. So that is going to be coming out first. Realistically, by the time it gets kitted out and everything, it may be February or March. Again, I just want to remind you guys, this is a hobby for me. This is not the way that I earn a living. So basically, I wake up at about 3 a.m. Every morning, answer emails, of which there are usually 10 to 15 waiting for me, and I field about another 20 or 30 throughout the course of the day on average. But I'll work in the garage from like 4 till 6 in the morning, then I go to work, and I work all day. And then I come back and I reserve the evenings for my family. Weekends, I will typically work from that same 4 o'clock maybe till about 7 or 8. So as you can see, not a lot of time to, you know, dedicate to all of these new cool things as much as I would like to. It would be epically awesome if I could earn a living at this, but as all of the vendors in this hobby can probably attest to, doing so is exceptionally difficult, not to mention risky, because in this wonderful world that we live in, you know, when there is a downturn, hobbies are the first thing that people throw out the window, and that's a bad time to be without of money. So I plug along as best I can, and as these new projects come out, you know, I'll try and make them available as cost effectively and of highest quality possible for you guys to take a look at. Saw a question about the ARC model Type 7. Can it be built as a surface runner only? Obviously. I mean, if it could be made into a fully functional diving model submarine, there's absolutely no reason you couldn't turn it into a surface runner. Realistically, though, when you think about it, the only difference between all of the components that you need to install for a surface runner versus a dynamic diving, you know, fully operational submarine is that ballast system. You still need to work out how to seal everything off. You have to have that dry compartment. You have to have all of your linkage seals, your shaft seals engineered. You still need to trim it out. You still need to ballast it properly. I would say if you're going to go as far as to building out, especially scratch building out, you know, a submarine, is not that much further of a step to go for an actual submarine versus a boat. So just keep that in mind. If it's not the kind of thing that you are interested in or feel comfortable with, or if you don't have any water that's suitable for diving in, certainly a surface runner is going to be a little cheaper, a little easier to build.
is perfectly suitable. And actually, upstairs, I don't have any out, they're all crated up there, but we've got something that we call the Easy Driver. So, and basically what that is, it's the drive system of the submarine, less the ballast system. So it's a dry hull compartment. You can put all of your batteries in there. It's got all the seals, the motors and everything are all in place. So you can drop that in your boat. It's available in single shaft, dual shaft, and many different diameters. And you'll have yourself a dynamic diving submarine if you want. Could still be a submarine, you just ballast it a little bit low, and you use the dive planes to pull it underneath the water. So that's something that, if it's of interest to you, is on the website. You can take a look at it, and that'll get you hooked up as a surface running submarine. I'm going to turn off the lights here, head downstairs, because I think what we're going to do is I'm going to shut the shop down here, hop in the car, and I'll try and keep you guys entertained, because my house is literally just 4 minutes down the road. We'll head back to the garage, and I can show you guys the Ohio. I can show you guys the Type 21. I can show you the Argo Hippogriff, cool little submarine that I'm working on for myself, as well as a bunch of other things that I've got going on. So let's get these lights turned out. Thing like the industrial area in the middle of the night. Fortunately, we're in Naples, Florida. Not exactly the most dangerous place in the world to be. Of course, I say that and I'll probably get mugged on my way to my vehicle. Live on all right. Seatbelts, everyone. All right. So it's going to be awful dark here. Such an ugly mate. Keep a light on so that you guys know I'm still there. I'll try and talk at the same time, but since you guys aren't going back, it's not really like talking on the cell phone. It's more like talking to myself, which has been known to happen. So yeah, as I said, I got a bunch of things going on in the shop right now, and it's something that I struggle with, and I'm sure that you guys probably struggle with as well. And that you got lots of things going on, and you tend to jump between projects, which I find is fine with two, but I've probably got like 4 or 5 going on right now, and I tend to jump too much between the projects, and you end up with a little bit of progress on all of them, when really what I should do is just buckle down, get one finished, and then move on to the next one. But you'll see that as evidenced by my very messy garage when we get back there. Typically I can make it home really quickly, but just because of the time of night right now, at 7:15 Eastern, the lights are a little bit longer on the main road that I have to cross here. So the projects that I've got going on my bench right now, the big Type 21, the big thing I'm working on with that right now is engineering a twin cylinder ballast and control system for it. And the reason for that is because we decided to build, as you guys know, a fully operational, functional periscope system. And of course, typically with submarine, the conning tower and periscopes are right smack dab in the middle of the boat, right where you ideally want to have your ballast system. And so that necessitates splitting up the ballast system into 2 separate ballast tanks, and I have elected to have individual control over each one so that you can control the trim of the boat from the remote control. So Ballast tank 1 and ballast tank 2 are both going to be on separate channels and allow either synchronized or separated flooding or blowing of the ballast tanks. The Ohio is coming along really, really well. I should have another chapter in the build blog coming out here right away. Today, actually, early in the morning, I got the rear control surfaces all installed. So I got all of the stabilizers, dive planes, rudders, and associated linkages installed. So that is coming along really well. I also just got word from Bob Dimack with OTW that my replacement ballast system is on its way, because the 3.5-inch dive module that he shipped out got smashed by UPS. Unfortunately, I can show you the damage to that when we get back to the house. So I can't finalize placement of the mounting bulkheads until I get the actual cylinder, in case he made it slightly larger or smaller than the one that I have right now. I mentioned a really funny submarine, the Argo Hippogriff. That is, it's a steampunk fantasy submarine design that I had found and downloaded the digital files for online. I just love the design because it's a really cool, unique submarine. So I 3D printed the hull, and I'm working on painting that right now. It's approximately 1/120th scale, so really convenient just to tuck under your arm, bring out to the pond. I think I told you guys this before, but I don't actually have at this moment a fully functional RC submarine of my own. I've got some in various states of construction, most of which have the hulls done, but no you know, final trimming or anything. So I want this thing to be one that's finished that I can bring to the pond or pool, show people the basics of RC submarine construction and operation. So we'll give you a look at that. And I'm just pulling up to the house right now. See if I can back in without hitting anything. There we go. Open up the garage. Only two types of submarine craft in the world: targets and submarines. That's an old one for sure. All right, the real shop where all the magic happens. Let's get it's kind of loud. All right, ta-da! Let's take a look at some of the stuff I got going on here. Ohio. Told you about this before. Boy, the drive shaft system on this turned out really dog bone that goes in the cylinder there, and this is just perfectly smooth. Got all the control surfaces rigged up in this. Typically, I'll show you guys, this is the sort of style that, you can't see anything, that is commonly used. I don't like it though. It's this like combination yoke deal. I mean, it kind of makes sense, you know, it goes in the middle, it links the two together so they move as one. I like doing things like this though. Let's see, where's my camera? Can you see that? So each one of these control surfaces, let's get a little closer, is on its own. So each one is individual, and then you link them back here where you've actually got access to connect them together. You can adjust them, and it frees up a ton of room inside that really crowded rear cone. So I like doing it this way. Some of you may have a different opinion, and quite frankly, don't care. It's my channel. Get one of your own. So basically, this is the cylinder, 3.5-inch cylinder. It's got a custom 14-inch ballast tank on it, just because the Ohio does tend to have higher freeboard. Gets right up underneath that missile deck. But as you can see here, this was all smashed out, and there's actually huge chunks missing out of it. I briefly thought about trying to repair it, but this is a customer build. If it was mine, it may be different, but you know, they paid for a new submarine. I probably should give them a new submarine. So yeah, this is turning out really, really well. As I told you before, the challenge with this one is that it's got to fit into a container, a shipping container. And as this is like 68 inches long overall, the container only is 53 inches. So I had to make some creative cuts. As you can see here, we got like kind of a large, you know, section in the front there that allows this to be 53 inches in length. So again, look for an update video coming out probably by the end of this weekend, I'm hoping. Type 21. Gosh, this is turning out really good. I really like it. All the weld lines are on there, and before you guys all kind of blow a gasket and say, holy cow, look at those weld lines, they're huge. I did that absolutely 100% intentionally. Number one, just because I really wanted to emphasize the design on the exterior of the hull, which is really unique to this boat. And secondly, because it's going to be an RC submarine, you're going to be looking at this thing from quite a distance away, and I wanted to have that visual interest for the boat. Of course, when you're looking at it from 10 or 15 feet away when it's on a bench, you want to be able to see it, but more so even when it's on the water and under the water, I wanted to have that visible as well. I mentioned the cylinders, and again, this is my tragedy of my life right now, trying to stay on top of things. I've got 2 cylinders. These are OTW 4.25-inch cylinders. The forward cylinder is going to house, or this would be the forward cylinder, motor for bow thruster, and servos for the opening and closing torpedo tube doors, and also exits for the torpedo control module, which is going to allow individual control of 6 torpedoes to be fired out in series. The rear one's going to have, of course, the 2 main drive motors. Also in that front, you're going to have the pump for the periscope system you guys saw earlier. This is a 2-inch Type 212 subdriver. This is going to be powering my Argo Hippogriff model that I'll show you momentarily. But this is a neat little cylinder, applicable in a lot of different models. You can put it in the Seawolf or the Revell Type 212 model. Really, really like it. When you buy these, they come all pre-assembled with all of the servos, the speed controller, everything, motors, seals, all done up. So you just add your receiver, pitch controller, and your failsafe, and you are good to go. So let's head over and take a look at this Argo Hippogriff. This is it in the first starts of the paint job. It's going to be like a copper on the outside, and it's got these strakes that go down. They're going to be all steel, so it's going to look really, really cool. I'm excited to see this thing all finished up and on the water. I'm going to have LED lights all through this thing, so all of the portholes, sorry, are going to light up. So it'll make for a really cool nighttime cruising boat. If I had to guess, I'm going to say it's about 24 inches long overall, but a decent sized beam. It's probably like a 5-inch beam to it, so it's going to be a really cool size to play around with. There's a question somebody had about the Type 21s and stern tubes. To the best of my knowledge, no, they never did. The configuration of that stern is set up in such a manner that there's no convenient spot really for a stern tube to be. And of course, I'm assuming it was designed that way. Somebody decided they didn't need to have stern tubes, and as such, it was designed not to have any. VEX radios, if any of you have any of the VEX radios, you want to see what they look like inside, you can solve that mystery right now. This is inside of a hobby radio. They all kind of look the same. So we've got our, our pivoting control sticks here. This one's a little bit different in that we got momentary switches on the back of the VEX radios there. I'm working out a ratcheting system for this. Now these are all spring-loaded when they come direct from new, but a lot of you guys and me as well like to have that throttle on a ratchet, so you can just set the throttle at whatever you want and leave it there as you go about your business with the other channels without having to hold your finger on the lever. So working on that. That's the inside of hobby radio, in case any of you did not have the bravery or opportunity to crack into your exceptionally expensive radio. I think I had a video on it, so you guys probably saw it, but Ed Tortle kind of came up with this idea for a linear servo conversion. Super simple system. As you can see right there. So as that wheel turns, that shifts in and out of that collar. So it's in a perfectly linear motion for the shaft. This is important. Typically, the seals that we utilize, the cup seals especially, are designed to have perfectly linear motion in there. When you get side-to-side torsion on your linkages, there's a high probability that you're going to end up with uneven wear in your seal, and it increases drastically the chances and the speed of leaks developing. So a pure linear motion is something that you definitely want to have. If you want to rig this up yourself, it's just a bracket that fits on the top of a servo. So you can focus on it and not me. This was, I just designed and 3D printed. It just glues to the top of a standard Futaba servo. If you want these, the bracket, the collar, and the pre-bent 16th inch shaft, $10 on my website. If that's something that interests you. Let's see if we can get that back in the box. No, there we go. Good stuff. Boy, you guys are like super quiet tonight. No questions. And certainly I'm happy to go to sleep. I've been up since 2 o'clock with my mind going, couldn't get back to sleep. So I'll happily crawl into bed if you guys are done. I'll give you another couple minutes and we'll knock out any last minute questions. Something, Dwayne Hill, a friend of mine from Canada, was something that we're pondering. I would certainly love to hear from you guys if you're in the area, but probably sometime around like the early part of the new year, thinking maybe, I don't know, early part of the year. We're thinking about like a Florida get together for RC sub community. So if you're in the area or you're interested in traveling, I'm thinking maybe we'll see if we'll try and find a swimming pool. There's tons of communities around here with community swimming pools that we should be able to borrow. Crawling around in the ponds down here in Southwest Florida is not the most exciting, what would be the most exciting thing that you can do because of the alligators. So we'll see, maybe we can get a swimming pool lined up, and yeah, we'll get together. I'll pull out some of the products that I have. We can tour through the shop, maybe have a barbecue or something. So if you are interested in that, then by all means, let me know. See if we can get that all rigged up. Skipjack back at the workshop. That's listed for sale on my website. All the pictures and all the details are in the listing. It's $450. It's cheap. It's a steal. You better grab it. Thunder Tiger Neptune rebody. That is a really good idea. Now, the challenge with that is that I'm going to guess it would take a few hundred hours to rebody the Thunder Tiger Neptune. Likely a couple $1,000s to tool it up. And I would just be nervous that the population of Thunder Tiger Neptunes out there, and more specifically the population of people looking to rebody their Thunder Tiger Neptune, is not going to warrant the investment. That is something I am kind of rapidly learning about this. There's lots of people who come and say, yeah, absolutely, very interested in that. And then when it comes time to buck up and pay for it, it doesn't happen. Or that one person does, and that's it. So the thing you got to understand about the vendors in this hobby, we do this because we're passionate about it. We're not doing it to make money. Trust me. I would say realistically, it's very rare, for me at least at this point, to break even on kits that I produced. Until you think about getting into dozens or ideally hundreds of sales, really not going to make any profit on them. So this is purely passion that you see from all of these various people out there. So by all means, please support them as much as you can. There's a lot of huge hobby stores out there. If you have a vendor that specializes in the RC submarine world, their prices might be a little bit more, but you'll be helping keep this hobby alive, because it is highly likely, especially with the fact that a lot of people are moving away from working with their hands. Now they want just pull it out of the box, spend 5 minutes putting it together, and go take it out. That's all kind of going away. So it's a challenge that we have. Hopefully the hobby stays around, because it is just so darn cool. I think that was it. Vex radios in stock? Yeah, I've got a bajillion of them, lots. And I am, within the next 2 weeks, going to finally be releasing these little bad boys. I don't know if you can see that. Oh, upside down? No, that was right. These are our own line of receivers. The really cool thing about that is you can buy the receiver, and then you can buy these little babies. And this is an expansion module, and basically what that allows you to do with the Vex radio, and it should work with the Futabas and other things as well, is you can jump onto channel 5, hit the button, and it'll basically jump to a whole new series of channels. So with a standard 6-channel radio, you'll actually end up with 10 channels of control. So if you got a lot of extra features that you've been struggling with controlling, this would be a great way to do it. So take, well, don't take a look at it, but keep an eye out for it. How about the Sombra Labs receivers? How about them? What do you want me to tell you, dude? It's not like there's 100 of them out there. There's like 3 or 4 left. I'm going to hold on to one of, or 2 that I have left for me. If you want to buy it, I'll sell them for a gajillion dollars, and you can have it. No more in stock. I never did stock them. This is just stuff I came across, was clearing out my shop. So for those of you that don't know, the Sombra Labs receivers, I believe there's a Canadian company originally, but basically they came out with a synthesized receiver that allowed you to operate on any channel on the 72 and 75 megahertz frequencies. And so you didn't have to crystal match, which was pretty awesome. So they're gone now. For whatever reason, they're just not around. They made some 6-channel crystal receivers, made some 6-channel crystal-less receivers called the Shadows, and then they made the SL8, which is an 8-channel crystal-less receiver as well. So you can actually look at this. We got one right here. This was set up in this cylinder, be used in maybe the 21. Actually, no, it won't. I'm using a Futaba in that one, but that's what they look like. Nice and small, too. Well, everyone, I think I'm going to wrap things up for this, the YouTube Live for the RCSubGuy on Thursday, December 6th, 2018. As always, thank you for joining me. I think I might mix the time up next time. Maybe I'll do like a Saturday thing. We'll see. We just want to make sure everybody has the opportunity. So try and think about the questions that you want to see answered. If you want to see a demo of anything, let me know in advance, because I can't just whip this stuff out, especially one-handed, trying to hold the video camera at the same time. So let me know in advance. The link is on my webpage. Send us the information, and we will see what we can do about helping you out. Thanks again, everyone. I'm Bob Martin, the RCSubGuy with the NautilusDryDocks.com. We will see you next time. Thanks for joining me.